Gapo, y'all. Oh, I got one thumbs up already. Gapo. I'm at the park again, y'all. Chamu and Gapo. And Kichua. So I'm at the park again. And I was thinking about, well, a couple things happened that made me think about the subject. Of course, I'm at the park, but they have this event building. I don't know what you want to call it, but they're having a wedding there. So it's like a little wedding party. That's why I'm walking around, so it won't be so loud. And then I also, someone liked an old post of mine from like 3 years ago, talking about the new Roots mini series that came out in 2016. And on that post, the new Kunta, who was actually of Mandinka heritage, which I thought was pretty cool that they got, even though the story's fake, I thought it was pretty cool that they tried to get authentic West Africans to play those roles. He made it a point at his wedding with Belle to say that jumping the broom was not African and they knew nothing about that tradition where he was from. Y'all hear me? Ooh, the ducks look so pretty out here. So yeah, so he made it, I need to stop somewhere and stop moving. But he made it a distinctive point to say that jumping the broom was not African. Now we know a lot of people, hey, OCO, we know that a lot of quote unquote African Americans started to use that, well, reuse that tradition. Once the original or the first Roots miniseries came out, thinking that it was an African tradition, which it is not. Also, the whole, that brings me to the other subject. I just got this new book at the bookstore. It's called, I know it's backwards. It's called Indian Handcrafts. I hope y'all can hear me clear because I'm by the water, and I told you I'm by this wedding party. It's called Indian Handcrafts, How to Craft Dozens of Practical Objects Using Traditional Indian Techniques. But there's something in here that I found interesting. They actually have a broom. So in the book, it goes on to say that American Indians were the ones who invented the straw broom that looks exactly like the broom that they used to jump over in the Roots miniseries, right? Now, I was told before by some elders that jumping the broom is Indian tradition. It's not African tradition, right? So that show has a whole bunch of people taking the broom and jumping over it for their wedding, thinking that they're getting in touch with their African roots, when they're really getting in touch with their American Indian roots. Y'all hear me? So, give me a second, and I'm gonna, once I sit down, this is Saturday, it's crowded, it's not like every day. Y'all say yes? Okay. Once I get a seat, I'm gonna show y'all the picture of the broom. And this book actually, ooh, somebody's driving their truck down the path. All right, these people getting wild. All right, but anyways, they actually teach you how to make the traditional Indian brooms, and I think it's in the Iroquois way. But give me a second, y'all. Y'all got any questions so far? All right, let me move out of the way. This man driving his truck through the path. You said we invented everything. I wouldn't say everything, but the track record stands. Like most of the modern modern inventions that we use today are influenced by so-called African Americans. All right. Now, I think even the modern broom is accredited to an African American, as well as the mop, right? Y'all can look up all this stuff. But anyways, give me a second, y'all. I'll just walk through a dang cookout and a wedding and everything. I don't think there's any more seats out here. Oh, here's a bench. So let me sit down. You said your grandmother told me the same thing about the broom. She was from a town called Santee. Oh, one of my exes was from Santee, the sandbox. That's what they used to call it, the sandbox. All right, I'm gonna find a book. Let me find it in the book. And please like and share it out so other people can see this and have this information. You got people running around looking crazy, thinking that they Kuta Kinte or whatever. Hold on a second. How do I turn this thing around? Wait a second, y'all. All right. You see that Indian broom? So they give you instructions in this book how to make the Indian broom. I'm about to read it to y'all. Let me show y'all the cover again. And this is on Amazon because I know I checked Amazon. That's the false face mask again, Iroquois. I know I check, like most people, I check Amazon before I buy my books. So it's on Amazon. It's just a little bit more than what I paid. I paid like $6 for it. It was on Amazon for about $7. So, all right. So here's what it says. It says the origin of the Indian or birch split. So split. Y'all see how it looks like it's cursive? The origins of the Indian or birch split broom have become clouded through the years. The early settlers gave full credit to the Indians and then enthusiastically set about making copies of their own to use. Indeed, the Indian broom became one of the earliest American industries in New England at the turn of the 19th century. That's what the broom looks like, y'all. Y'all recognize everybody's grandma had this broom, right? The technique has remained unchanged through the years. Since a strong metal blade is a must, it would seem that the Algonquians required trade knives before attempting such a project. It took a full day of patience to whittle a 4-foot Indian broom for sweeping. There was a smaller broom down to 6 inches for beating eggs and cream, while those twice that size did service for scouring maple sugar kettles. I'm sorry, y'all, my hair is blowing in my mouth while I'm reading. Yeah. Yellow birch seems to be preferred, with the runner-up being hickory, ash, black beech, and witch hazel. In any event, the wood was worked freshly cut. Angular rings could be split free and silvered before the wood dried out. And equally important, the slivers were pried free and not whittled, or the broom would end up as a pile of shavings. All right, so right here it shows you the actual technique if you want to make it yourself. And these things are important to know. Like I said before, I'm gonna come out with another video about the survival techniques or things you need for survival. But in those situations, we keep seeing our people in those situations, like I said, Hurricane Katrina, all these hurricanes, and we left high and dry, and everybody else got they got their shotguns, they got their what they call those tents. They got their food supplies for 3 months, and we don't have anything. So learning our old ways, like this book has some good things to teach you how to make fires in here, like the old Indigenous way. Like this one, it shows you the Algonquian way to make a broom. So the Algonquians were one of the first to make the brooms. Teach you how to make mortars and pestles. If If y'all know what those are, it's like the little bowls and the grinding block that you use to grind corn and herbs and things like that. All right. I hope y'all can hear me because the wind was blowing and my hair is in my face. It's a definition of ghetto was quarter city which the Jewish formerly lived. Yeah, ghetto is not us. That's European Jewish people. What were the Alabama tribes? Well, one of the tribes was the Alabama or the Alabama. They had, I know y'all asked that question before. For the Alabama, they had Chickasaw, Choctaw, those basic. But a lot of them got absorbed early on when the Spanish and stuff came there. So people got enslaved and the rest of the people absorbed into the tribes. Trying to read your questions and I got hair blowing in my mouth and wind. I'm sorry, y'all. It said anyone that's from the Northeast and have made it to the 1600s and want to look further, you might want to check out the Netherlands vital records. Oh yeah, that's a good source. Because the Dutch were all up in the north. He said, Lance, you left. I thought I responded to your email, Lance, because we were going back and forth. Well, I'll check it again because something's wrong with that email for some reason. I don't know. It's not sending out my responses sometimes. But I thought I had responded that same day. I'll check it again. All right, Lance. Okay, so I mean things like today that just came right together because that old post came up, and I had been doing the research during that time in 2016 on jumping the broom, and everything I researched, they could not confirm anything African about jumping the broom, right? They didn't even have brooms to jump. So how can they jump the broom if the broom is an Algonquian American Indian invention? So how can people in another place jump the broom, right? So you said next month something's crazy going to happen? I don't know. Do we need to have recognition by the UN? That's your choice if you want to have recognition by the UN. Anybody can join the UN, to be honest. All you got to do is pay a fee and join. You can do that online. But anyways, you said exactly. So y'all got any questions about it? If anybody has any counter information, but I had been researching that for a couple of months in 2016, and all of them keep saying African American tradition, and there really wasn't anything in Africa with it until after colonization of both lands, after probably in the late 1800s. And, just like anything, just like the European tradition of marriage, people see something and then they incorporate it into their cultures too, as well. But with that, the research done on the New Roots movie or mini-series, stating that jumping a broom is not African, and the Mandinka specifically did not do it, which they tried to imply in the first movie, and that's why a lot of African Americans are doing it. And coupled with the fact of my own research, not finding anything to connect it to Africa, as well as this book I just showed you guys, stating that the actual broom that they used, that looks exactly like the one that they used in the movie, is an Algonquian or American Indian creation, okay? Also tying the knot is an American Indian tradition as well. I know now it's a saying, but when people got married, the couple used to literally tie their clothing into a knot at the ceremony to show a sign of bonding or connecting, creating a new family or whatever. It's a monkey see, monkey do. You said wild lettuce is a pain reliever. Yes, it is. Yep, it's medicine. You can find it right in your yard. I know I have some. Good karma. You said the broom is also significant in hoodoo tradition. Jumping over it symbolizes overcoming evil, obstacles. Take a broom from an old home to your new home, and you will have problems, fam. Right, and you know, a lot of the hoodoo is based on American Indian old medicine and old ceremonies and things, right? Because a lot of those people who came, you know, kept that alive were of American Indian ancestry. Yeah. Was the tribes that performed human sacrifice before Columbus? Yeah, there were tribes. The Mayans did, a lot of Central American tribes. I think I talked about it before in one of my videos. Um, the actual act of the blood and taking the blood and taking the heart out, it's kind of like a symbolic for, well, not symbolic, it is a form of taking energy. So they would sacrifice their enemies, the ones that could not be reformed and become members of their society. They would do these rituals and use that energy to protect their tribe and, you know, stop them from being sacrificed, basically. Right? So, you know, blood is electric, it has energy, it's alkaline or whatever. So they need that. In some of the ceremonies, some of the priests would drink the blood, right? What about dream catchers? Dream catchers are, from my research, the oldest is from the Ojibwa, which is an Algonquin northern tribe. The dream catchers, they symbolize the story of grandmother spider and her protecting the tribe or protecting dreamers. So the web is supposed to be like a spider's web, the dream catchers, and it's supposed to be catching like evil spirits and bad dreams and things. So it's like a protection. Yeah, see, the dream catcher thing is, it gets, you have different reactions. Like some people are saying it's completely fake. It's not a tradition. And then other people, like I said, the Ojibwa, claim that they created it based on the grandmother spider story. Oh gosh, y'all, I'm gonna have to keep. I'm tired, but I'm gonna get up and move because it's like terrible over here. Y'all see my face swelling again because it's hot and I'm out of water. Would that be considered good or evil? What would be considered good or evil? I'm not sure what you mean. You said, but the Mongoloids don't accept us and claim that we're trying to steal their culture. Yeah, you know, it depends on who you're talking about. Who are these people? You can't take a few fools on the internet and say that a whole group of other people are attacking us or saying things about us. There's a couple idiots on the internet. Like everybody doesn't say that. Like if you have proof and you're part of their family, people are going to accept you. You said the brother of Chief Uncas from the Pequot Wars was killed. He was killed by who? Yeah, the Pequot Wars, they killed a lot of people. I got another book too, Alan Galley, which some of y'all know. This is the second one on Indian slavery. I think it's Indian slavery and the rise of the British Empire. So this is more focused on the British. I think the first one had more like Spanish and a mix. But this one's more focused on the British. And he talks about the Pequot Wars. And a lot of people that were captured in the Pequot Wars, hundreds and thousands possibly, were shipped to the Caribbean as slaves or shipped to Virginia and other parts of the Americas. So, killed, you said he killed a Sasquin, the chief of Hartford, and ate a piece of him after his death. Yeah, I was just watching this documentary on the Indian Wars that did say something like that. I don't think they went into detail about him eating part of his part of him or whatever. But what they did that to take the energy. We took the energy from the enemies and turned it into something positive, positive energy. That's the logic. You said the Mayans' language writing were very similar to Kemetic Egyptian. Well, there's a lot of things similar because when you go back to it, we were all one people at one time. It doesn't mean that we all came from one landmass or whatever, because the whole planet is one landmass. That's what people are not getting. And it's kind of like when the colonization from the Europeans came, they kind of split and severed ties between different nations who lived in different places. Like somebody from California, a nation in California, would see themselves different from somebody from a nation in Virginia, just as much as that person from California would see themselves different as the tribe in Africa. They did not see themselves as the same just because they were closer to each other. You get what I'm saying? You said you understand. You have no idea how to tap into the culture. I can't read what you're saying. You said Mongoloid natives are not indigenous here, so stop all that. Okay, so what nation are you to be worried about what they? I mean, people, y'all bringing up stuff that does not matter. Who are you? Who are your nation? And where are you going with this information? Why y'all bringing up natives and whoever? Some people are related to them. So how can you say that they're not indigenous if some of those people that you were calling Mongoloid aren't Mongoloids and they're related to people who look like me? I have cousins who look like quote unquote or claim to be natives, but they're my cousins. They're not Mongoloids or whatever, you know, whatever that is. And people are mixing up stuff. They're making separations between peoples. There's a difference between people out in the plains and people here that y'all on the East Coast that y'all calling Mongoloids. So you still want to marry me? You want to jump the broom? You crazy? When you're indigenous, you are already tapped in. You're not automatically tapped in because you're indigenous. This is a process. Some people are more inclined than others, and that's because the ancestors choose them. They're not doing things based on hate or, you know, trying to get clout or whatever. Like some of us is really working for the ancestors out here and trying to help people. Like y'all worrying about the wrong stuff, right? Let's big up the indigenous people. Let's big up the Aboriginals or the Aborigines and worry about that. Why we worry about what other people doing? That's we're the only people that do that, and that's why we get sit back so much because we worry about what everybody else doing, right? Now, if they try to stop what we're actually stop what we're doing, that's when you worry. All right. Alton, you said I'm having a hard time figuring out what tribe I'm from. Lots of Texas tribes, but before 1850, people from Georgia and Alabama, a little bit of Tennessee and Mississippi. Then you wouldn't. There's no point in you looking at Texas tribes if your family's not from Texas. You said some in Virginia and North Carolina. You need to be looking at the East Coast then, right? People from Tennessee are from Virginia. People from Mississippi are from Virginia, Carolina, right? You just said Virginia, Carolina. That's where you need to be looking at, right? So your family ranged from the Ohio Valley Mounds to Massachusetts, North Carolina, Virginia, Piedmont. I thought you had family down in Florida too. Sun-eyed Eagle. You said 42. Yeah, 42 people watching now, right? On a Saturday, like when everybody's busy. That's great. See, we need to start wasp. What? Unite amongst ourselves. Yeah, we got to unite amongst ourselves, get ourselves together before we worry about other people. And y'all only talking about a small group of haters. Like the average person, native person's not thinking about us. They're not thinking to disrespect us or whatever. If they know you're related to them, you're related to them or not. Like if they see you doing your thing, you're doing your thing. Nobody's going to be hating. It's usually people who are paid to do that, agents, or people who are just crazy. All right, so don't play their game. They want you to, they're baiting you to worry about them to distract you from what we're doing. Because people see that we're actually making progress. We're doing our genealogy, we're finding our tribes, we're connecting with our actual ancestors. So they're going to throw a monkey wrench in it, right? You, Copper Nation, you're confused and you don't even have a picture. So you're anonymous, you're scared to show your face, but you want to criticize people. Okay, whatever. And talk about people. That's when you know you're not indigenous, when you're saying this is why females can't lead movements. And some of y'all know on Facebook, I just posted a video showing the importance of women in indigenous culture in America. Women were leaders, women were empresses of confederacies, of tribes. Women were medicine women, and they're important, integral parts of the community. You're talking about stuff from Europeans. You're brainwashed by Europeans, and now you're talking trash about me. Whatever. Whatever. You can leave that if you're so unhappy. Yes, genealogy is the key, y'all. Y'all got to get on your genealogy. Know who you are. Know self. You said we're Cherokees at one point, mostly Spaniards? No, the Cherokees, they had trade and deals with the Spaniards, but they were not mostly Spaniards. Now the dude's disrespecting Caribbean people. Come on now. Carbonation, you gotta go. Who's on here? Sun Eagle, can you be a moderator and get rid of him? Please. Oh gosh. You said your grandfather made baskets and fish traps. Yeah, that's something that we used every day too, just like the brooms. We really needed the baskets to store food and goods and things. Sun-Eyed Eagle, can you boot Copper Nation out? I just made you a moderator. All right, so do any of y'all have any questions? I'm not gonna go back and forth with somebody without a profile picture. I'm sorry. And can barely spell. Nah. It's too hot for that. I'm sorry, I don't have time. You said I look like one of your family members? Oh, okay. Are you from Virginia or North Carolina? Yes, right. America is Kemet. You said you said men and women were leaders too. Yes, the women were balanced. Everybody was more balanced. They didn't have this machismo attitude or anti-men attitude or whatever. Everybody worked together for the betterment of the society, right? You needed that balance. The women were the ones who actually decided if we were going to war or not. Thank you, Sun-Eyed Eagle. You just deleted his crazy stuff. But the women they used to have a war chief and a peace chief. The war chief was usually a man and the peace chief was usually a woman. And the peace chief would decide, or the clan mothers would decide on whether we were going to go to war or not. Everyone had their part, right? A lot of time the clan mothers would come up with a lot of the laws and the men would have to enforce the laws. So there was some sort of balance. The men would bring the meat, the women would have to prepare it or whatever. This balance, and people had their roles or whatever. Everyone was important. You said before this matriarchal system, there was a patriarchal system here in the Americas. The foreigners didn't believe women should lead. Yeah, I mean, some places they have both the matriarchal or the patriarchal systems. I know the Iroquois, they switched between both. But just because the leadership it was only one gender, like male gender or whatever, everyone still was involved in the government or the laws, right? Like perfectly balanced, right? Everything should be balanced. Everything should be balanced. Yeah, just delete him, Sun-Eyed Eagle, just delete Copper Nation off here. Like, he really got the nerve to have the name Copper Nation too, talking crazy. Like, you don't even know what you're talking about. You're disrespecting women, you're disrespecting everybody today. But my point is, y'all, get on your genealogy, focus on you, your family right now. Don't even be worried about people. Right, like leave them people alone. Exactly, good karma. Why is, it's they if they're not saying nothing to you, leave them alone. We got to focus on us, building us up, getting us where we need to be. We don't even have to prove nothing to anyone. We know, and everyone will know because we will already have everything documented and everything is going to come to light. Alton, you said tracing back to Virginia and North Carolina. I should follow the surname. Yes, try to follow the surname. Now, it gets tricky, like I mentioned before, because some of the families might have changed their name or misspelled the name for various reasons. Either they want a fresh start or they're running for something, or the census or whoever documented spelled it wrong, and, because people are barely literate. They're not getting the what they call Menser students. They just picking people off the street who was willing to walk. They had to like really walk to all these people's houses back in the day, especially before cars. Just imagine that. So it was a hard job. So people won't worry about spelling stuff right. They like, we here, we're sitting down, we just gonna write something down. Okay, so y'all gotta keep that in mind. That's why having a background in history of that time period that you're researching is very important as well. Okay. You said your surname took you to England and France once you got to the year 1760. Well, you have to make sure that those are your people because for a lot of indigenous people, they might have taken a surname of someone who they did business with and they liked. Like, say you did business with John Smith, he was cool, he was a fair guy. And so the next time you go somewhere and you signing up for something, or a census worker comes and you're like, hey, my name is Greg Smith or whatever, right? Because they'll ask you, do you have a surname? If you don't have one, they'll make up one for you or you create one for yourself. So that's how it was back then when people were joining. What do they call it? The colonial societies? You had to have a last name to be taxed, right? You said, Tasha, I heard the term red man came from Caucasians. Yeah, I think Sheila Yana, she just did a post on her Shop Origines site talking about where the name red man came from, and this mostly came from the people using red paint on their skin, on their face and things like that. That's before the tradition of scalping was kind of popular. So like the Redskins logo, the person, either their skin was that shade of brown or they used that kind of clay to create, in a dye, to make a red paint, right? And those people had bounties on their head because they were trying to rid all of their traditional or tribal people off the land. And we all know paper genocide and reclassification was going on at that time. So. I know a little bit about Montezuma, the story. Thank you, Michael, for the donation, Michael Torres. Yeah, we got him out, Mad Squabbles. Sun-Eyed Eagle got him out. I'm sorry, I paused for a second. I'm trying to read this. Yeah, but Montezuma, he is from Mexico. Allegedly, he came from a paternal line that was foreign to that land. We're not sure exactly. Some people have different speculations that his family was from the north. Some people said his family was from Mali. Some people said that his family was from Asia. But I'm not sure. I can't really say I did enough research to be sure. but I know that the saying is that his paternal line was foreign to Mexico. And he fought. He fought the Spanish for a long time, and it was actually a woman named Maliche um, who sold out, and she told on him. And for one, the citizens were on Montezuma's side, and they kind of exposed him as a sellout because he was trying to he was backed into a corner with the Spaniards, and he was fighting against them, and he took a deal like Jay-Z did. Let me stop. He took a deal with them, and what they made him do after he was telling people to not listen to the Spanish and protesting them or whatever and attacking them, they made him go out and be a spokesman for them basically and tell the people stop the violence against the Spaniards, don't attack them. Don't that sound familiar? It sounds like that stuff with Jay-Z, right? We got to be working with them and all this stuff. And the citizens was like, F that. And they killed him, right? They eventually killed him because he sold out. He was the main one that had them all riled up and was like, let's fight the power, let's go against them. Then you're going to come out and be like, nah, let's work with them. You can't do it like that. You got to be thorough the whole time, right? Yes, Montezuma was a male. He was a man. He said, my dad's called me back to Virginia. He passed away in December 2016 in Franklin. He said, prayers needed for hearing my call. Condolences, Gina. Yeah, at least come back, and if you got to, straighten out issues with his death or find out information for your genealogy, at least come back for that. See how you like it. Wanagi, you said, do you think tribal war over territory? Do you think tribes war? I guess you said tribes warred over territory or beliefs. Yeah, they warred over territory, especially like the hunting grounds. With the Mingo tribes, the Senecas, the Mohawks, all those people from those Iroquois groups from up north, they came down and was like mad disrespectful to the hunting grounds, and that's what really was starting a lot of the wars. Now they had a prophecy that another group. Y'all hear these fools making these duck sounds? They had a prophecy that another group from the south would come up there and start trouble with them, right, and ruin their peace. So what they did instead is they came down to the south and started taking names, right? You said email you again. You have a project. Okay, yeah, I'm keeping in touch. I'm gonna check my emails, y'all, when I get home. All right, no problem, Alton. But yeah, people warred over territory, and the hunting territory was very important to the livelihood of the tribe because that's where they hunted. Like you can't have people coming in and sharing your hunting ground because then they're gonna kill all the good game, right? So that was a lot of the war. And then the people, they wanted to come down and stay, like the Cherokee. They came down and they stayed. A lot of people don't know. The Cherokee was from New York, right? In the Ohio valleys and Canada, not Canada. Some of them were up there for a minute, but the Cherokee come from the north. Like they came down to trade with the Spanish, like what, 1500s. Before that, it was a couple of groups that came down in 1300s. You say you need an email. It's thetashashi@gmail.com. I can't type it in, so I'll put it in the comments later. You said Montezuma high priest saw the Spanish 10 years before in an obsidian mirror. Yeah, see, that's another thing, Brian. People don't realize that we had these seers, within our priesthoods that were what they were called today as psychics, right? Or oracles, like the Matrix, talk about the oracle. These people would see certain things and those things will come to be. Now, either it really was, they really saw the future, or people are doing certain things to lead to destruction. Because, as everyone knows, a lot of civilizations, they start declining and then the destruction comes. It's a Jurassier. So that was a big part of our religion. You know, stuff that now people are saying superstitious or whatever. You can say jumping the broom is superstitious. That was part of our culture. You said Aztecs are Nathalic. They're bearing crossers who mix with the Tawigi here. The 5 tribes and some in the West who folks call Eskimos. Yeah, see, our Adams, I was just reading about that with the Chichimek. Now, the Chichimek is a generic term, but also refers to certain groups of invaders. All right, like you said, they didn't mix with other people in those locations, and the Aztecs were a group that they supposedly mixed with. I think it's a story about the Aztecs where they were trying to have a peace with them after the war, and I think one of the chiefs or kings had one of their leaders marry their daughter, and when he went to go visit her, they came out wearing her face as a mask. Now I don't know that how. What are they asking for war? Somebody cut your daughter's face off, like kill your daughter and wear her face? What kind of sick stuff is that? So that's the stuff that these Chichimek or Mexica, as they're also called, which Mexico is named after because they did run a lot of Aboriginals out. And some people, there's, I don't know, confusion with the Mexica, but the Mexica are invaders, right? I myself was a little confused about them until I did more research, and they're the invaders either from China or wherever they came. I don't know. People don't know for certain where they came from. Some people believe that they came from Asia or China by boats. Some people think they came down through the Bering or whatever. I really don't believe the Bering Strait theory. And even the quote-unquote natives don't believe that either. People had boats and technology. And some of them, like I said, are just mixed people. You said psychics are perverts, huh? Oh, they pervert the true gift. They're not the same as a seer or prophet. Yeah, some of the psychics that do those jobs are not really psychic. Just like Miss Cleo, she was not a psychic, or she was not Caribbean at all, was she? Well, at least she didn't have that accent. People doing it for profit. He said Aztecs, Mayans are patriarch. King Montezuma had 6 wives, and he did it big. Even if he did have 6 wives, doesn't mean it's a patriarchal society. Because even in the matrilineal or whatever society, people have multiple spouses, including the women, right? If you're in a higher position. It depends on the culture and the society. You said culture is fading only for occasions, living, change, evolution, right? Call you now. Who is it? I don't have your number to call you, sir. I don't know who that is. I don't know. All right. Gina, you said, I'm part of your tribe, but not much. Dad helped you folks out when you were vandalized. What? All right, I'm sounding slow right now. It's hard to read. This thing keeps scrolling. You said, I'm part of your tribe, but not much. Dad helped you folks out when you were vandalized a few years back. Did you know if the repairs got fixed in Cortland? I'm not a tribal I'm not a tribal member of either of the Nottoway tribes right now, so I'm not sure if they got fixed. I'm personally just getting in touch with that heritage within the last, 2 or 3 years. So you will have to ask Chief Lynette. I'm not really an official member. But I hope they did. I know they were talking about they were doing a lot of different projects. on their reserved land. I don't know if it's officially a reservation now, but they do have land. And I know the Cherokee Nottoway had to purchase some land over there, so they have land. They have a village. They have a lot of stuff that they're trying to work on as well. They just need some donations. Both tribes need donations. Why would a woman have multiple spouses though? If it's matrilineal and they're a chief, the chief line comes through the women, even in some of the patriarchal societies of American Indians. So it would be beneficial to have multiple husbands too, especially for trying to gain peace or leverage over other tribes, right? Like Chief Kokoeski, who's one of my ancestors, she had multiple husbands. One of them was a European. She was the actual empress over the Confederacy, which included other tribes who wasn't even Algonquin, like the Nottoway, were under the Confederacy at one time. I believe, was the Monacan? I'm not sure. But there was other tribes who were Siouan and the Iroquois who were also under her, right? Now, not all of them had multiple husbands, because the chief of the Nottoway, who was a woman, Chief Edith Turner, I'm supposed to say Eddie. Well, they did call her Edie. Edith Turner, she did not have multiple husbands. Well, she got married twice, but she wasn't with them at the same time. You said Miss Cleo. Oh, you talking about Miss Cleo? I'm like, I don't know. I don't have your number, sir. He said, call me now. Oh, no problem, Gina. You said Indian women were pimps. No. No. People do what they had to do. Michael, you said, you'll jump the broom and Tasha she. You're crazy, man. All right, DC, you said, thanks for the knowledge, sister. I must go now. All right, peace to you. You'll be sharing the rest of your tribe. Yeah, please come back and share some information with us. Hakik, is that how you say your name? Hakik, he says, have you visited any of the ancient burial mounds? Mound Creek in North Carolina, Serpent Mound, Hopewell Burial Complex, and Fort Ancient are among the sites I've seen. No, I haven't. I haven't visited any official mounds besides the mound for Chief Wahansanaka or Chief Powhatan. His burial mound, he's allegedly buried under there. Some people don't believe that he is or not, but that's the only mound that I've visited. He's one of my ancestors, so I had to, pay some respects to him. He said it meant so much. Hopefully you'll be back. Where do you find language studies? Gina, I'm still working on that language class. Actually, some of y'all, if you're in the DMV area, the Potomac tribe are actually having language classes for Potomac Powhatan. So I'm not sure if it's different from the southern Powhatan, because they're more of the northern Powhatan territory. But they have language classes starting in October. If you Google it for the Potomac tribe, it should be on the Potomac tribe website. Y'all might not know how to spell it properly, but if you Google it, it's on there, and then you can email the people in charge of it. He said, do most tribes use feather as a badge of honor? Yep, feathers are as a badge of honor, they're a gift as well. So you earn the feathers by doing good deeds or in war and different things like that. You say American Indian women had the pimp juice. Oh my gosh, y'all crazy. Hey, peace. Y'all crazy on here today. Yeah, but I mean, people were more liberal, but they were more free. I was going to say, as I said in this other video, but I don't think I didn't edit and post that video yet, which is the part 2 for the William Byrd and the Nottoway series. But William Byrd and his notations of the Nottoway and American Indian women were talking about I think I posted it on here. I did make a post on here. We're talking about the women, how they're more sexually free. The concept of having boyfriends. Remember, Europe and other places did not have the whole boyfriend and girlfriend things comes from American Indians. They did not have all this intermingling and stuff before marriage like we had here. And the reason why we had boyfriends or girlfriends here is because the women or the young ladies, they're usually teenagers, they were the ones who chose their husband. So the men would court the women and try to, be the best out of the bunch so that the women chooses, you say like a pimp, the women chooses who their husband's going to be, whoever's more compatible to them are going to meet their needs, with getting food or whatever, had the most swag. I don't know, freshest cut. I don't know, but the men would, in their courtship, they would bring gifts to the women, wampum, money, gifts and things. And he was talking about how the women, a lot of the young ladies would choose their husband by who brought them the most stuff, and we have the stigma of women being gold diggers or whatever, but that's a genetic memory in a sense. That doesn't mean to pick somebody but just on that or whatever. But he was saying they use that as a high marker on who they were going to procreate with, which makes sense if you're surviving. You want to be with a guy who's going to bring the most food. You don't want to starve. Like, what is the point of starving? Struggle of in living in a wigwam, struggling. I don't know what to say. Okay, blessings to you, Gina. Balance, she said, my grandmother and Chief Warhorse are the only women in my life that I have seen wear their hair in 4-quarter plaits. Yeah, that's usually younger ladies, right? You said, is this hairstyle Chatter Tribe only? I'm not sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure that women wore different styles. My tribe didn't wear that style, so I'm not sure. You said, not in your tribe. A female copulated before marriage. Originally, she'll get her ears or nose cut off or killed. Well, on the tribes over here, the women, they had their boyfriends or whatever at the same time. You said the men would move in with his wife and her family. Right, because it's matrilineal in those societies and you go by the wife's clan. So you're moving into the clan house, basically, and you're part of that clan, right? So your wife was a Bear Clan, you're moving into the house with the Bear Clan. And sometimes they would have a marker indicator or some type of sculpture or something like made out of wood on the front of their house, so that when travelers come and the traveler was a Bear Clan person, they would come to the Bear Clan house that, saying Bear Clan. And that's who will be their hosts, and they'll stay there because somehow they were related down the line because of the clans. Clans are families, right? Family clans. So even if somebody was from a different tribe and possibly a whole different ethnicity, like a Iroquois or Algonquian, we know those aren't the official names, but whatever. Even if they were from two different things, if they're of the same clan, they possibly are related, right? You said you got to check out the movie 47 Degrees Below. Okay, I'm going to check it out. Is it on Netflix or something? Now y'all know. Y'all see that? This thing on squirrel. He just threw a stick at me. Squirrel just threw a stick at me, y'all. Do y'all have any more questions? And thank you again, Michael, for the donation. Y'all see, I'm using the money to buy books and all type of stuff. Probably won't get that money until 2 months. But I use the money to buy books and gas to go to these places and to the libraries and stuff. You said, explain the differences between matrilineal and matriarchal. Matrilineal is the document of how your family is documented. Matrilineal does not mean that only women rule, right? It's like a patriarch, mostly men rule. The matriarch, mostly women or only women rule, right? So that's the difference. Matrilineal could be any. So most of the tribes here were matrilineal, meaning any gender a person can rule, but it would be through the female line, right? And how these things were established was the most credible or most valuable woman in the tribe. Those women were usually the chief, or they birthed the chief, right? In the beginning, right? So that's what the matrilineal, and that doesn't mean females rule. Matrilineal doesn't mean females rule. Matriarchal means female rule. You said then that what's patriarchal? That means you're going through the male line, just like with the European kings and queens. They would go through who's the son or daughter of the king, right? So that's patrilineal. And they were a patriarch because it was mostly men who were the kings, and the women were queens by default, like if their father died or their husband died or whatever. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. Okay, you guys got any more questions? It's getting hot out here. I can move on. Kimberly, you said, why is it so hard for us to separate our traditions from African traditions, which are similar? My honest opinion is those Americans who were shipped to Africa marry Africans and share their traditions. Yeah, but a lot of our traditions are not similar. And some of those traditions that they have now do come from those that were shipped there and come from the exchange, right? What they call the Columbian exchange. Like a lot of their foods, fufu and all that stuff is made from plants and things that are only indigenous to America, right? Jollof rice. They would not have no jollof rice 500 years ago because jollof rice has peppers and tomatoes that are only indigenous to America, right? Fufu has, what is it, has, I don't know what that stuff is that they made the powder with, cassava or something, that's only in America. So how can they have these things that they're acting like they're so old and ancient and traditional when it doesn't even come from there? So you got to separate the new traditions from the old. And then some things are just human tradition, right? You said you late, but I would say jumping the broom is art. Yeah, Akeem, you missed the whole demonstration I did. I brought up Roots saying in the movie, the new Roots series, them saying that the African character said he don't know nothing about jumping a broom, and jumping a broom is not African, right? Then I also showed them in this book here that the actual broom that they used to jump the broom and brooms in general were invented by American Indians, specifically the Algonquians, right, from the eastern woodlands. So, and then there's no other proof of traditional Africans using those brooms to jump over. They had other ceremonies. All right, Mad Squabbles, you said a Narragansett chief's wife was sleeping too close to another male around the fire, and he woke up and saw where she was laying and cut her face 4 times and sent her back to the Pequots, and a war happened because of it. What? All right, I think he just crazy. That's not no traditional. He just crazy, possessive, and jealous. He said they knew our women tied us to the land, and that's how they tied themselves. Right, Copper Indio. That's why a lot of the Europeans, when they came here, and in the William Byrd Westover manuscript, he does go into detail about that, how they were telling them and paying them to marry indigenous women, basically to wash us out, right, to make us them, and to take over the land. And they said that British said when they got here, which William Byrd The second is British, was British. He said the Canadians had been doing it for a while, and they had gotten to the point that their indigenous people look European, right? So that was their plan, and then you can see that with a lot of the tribes in the eastern woodlands. A lot of the people are very mixed with Europeans, and a lot of them resemble Europeans, right? They're not Mongoloids or whatever y'all calling them. They are mixed people, right? They had a grandma or somebody that looked like me. Some of the people are your cousins. So it's different from people in the West, right? Probably darker than me for some instances, right? He said, thank you for all that. When I'm able to sell my house, I'll take care of you. Oh, Gina, you don't have to do that. Make sure your family is straight, get back to the land, right? He said, every native needs to read Catherine O'Byrne's paper, any sane person. Any sane person. Kimberly, you said, let's not forget Africans were being displaced to Europe and other places too, and the heritage was filled with antiquities like gold and other things. So I don't discredit those tribes. Yeah, they were trading all of us around to Europe and Africa, and that's what I've been saying the whole time. I did a post on Facebook a long time ago about a voyage to Senegal. If you read that book, which I posted many years ago, and other people trying to act like they found it. But anyways, you read that book, it goes into detail of how they took tribes from Nova Scotia, the indigenous tribes over there, and some other places in America, and took them to Senegal, right? And then they took people from Senegal and brought them over here. And what they were trying to do was create a slave race of people who did not have an identity or tribal identity or ethnic identity, and they wanted to create this black race, quote unquote. And that's where the black, quote unquote, race comes from, because negra and black means inanimate object, right? They don't want people to have an identity. You can call yourself what you want to, but when they originally called us that was their intention, right? Now people have taken it, flipped it, just like they took the N-word and they created, pride out of it. I understand that, and it's a social construct now. I'm just saying, in the beginning, You say any powwows coming? It's a powwow right now that I'm not at. The Nansemond powwow in Virginia. There's a lot of coming up. The big powwow, the Shinnecock powwow is coming up. Labor Day weekend, right, in New York. Long Island, New York. I don't know if I'm going to that or not. That's a hike, right? He said, please, can you help out? She's the only one that I've been able to find that's taught me so much. Oh, you're talking about me? Oh, thank you, Gina. Yeah, genealogy is key. I see you keep saying that. It sure is. So have you ever checked out the British Library? No, I've never been to Britain. I haven't gone yet. I want to go. I haven't gone. Yeah, they do hold a lot of our stuff there, and Belgium as well. You said Mr. Bird convinced settlers in Berkeley County to do the same with the Tuscarora. Right, yeah. Thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate you. Can you give us a list of books that we should read? Yes, I'm going to come up with a list. I'm going to put it on Amazon so you can just click and buy it. I was just adding to my list, y'all. Like when I go to bookstores, if the prices aren't good, I put it on my book list. So I'm going to give y'all the source of how I get a lot of my research. Like these books are some major books, right? Some deep stuff in there so you can research yourself. No problem, Firewater. He said the Acadians or Vikings in Nova Scotia were also moved to Louisiana and referred to as Cajuns. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I thought the Cajuns were French, like French trappers. Okay. Yeah, some of the Vikings were Algonquians as well, like Eric the Red. That's why he's called Eric the Red. He was a redskin, like we already went into that earlier, the Redskins. said they have also destroyed many records here in England. I believe that because people are having a hard time trying to track the ships, quote unquote. Now, we know that there were ships that left from New England and other places with American Indians on it that's documented in New England or wherever, but it's not documented into England. And those people were sold on auction, as servants and slaves to Britain, Spain, other places, North Africa, West Africa, right? A lot of those documents are missing. Like they have the documents over here, they don't have them in other places, and it's kind of fishy. The video that I questioned the African numbers. Where are all these African files? Where are the documents in Africa? People their mind goes blank when you ask for them. How come all the documents are in Britain or America or Spain? It doesn't make sense. Or Portugal. Where are the African documents that supposedly, if you're taking millions of people, it's going to be some type of proof of you buying supplies, at least. You trade, the trading, that you're trading rum. Like they allege that you trade rum for a lot of people. We just want to see the documents so we can add the numbers up right. What do you know about Cape Verde? Cape Verde is off the coast of West Africa. It's an island. The Portuguese took over. Yeah, it's crazy that a lot of those people from there don't think they're African, but you're in Africa. I mean, y'all might be mixed or whatever, or have Portuguese descent, but you're still African. It's weird, right? Big facts, right? It's weird to me. Like Amber Rose is supposed to be part Cape Verde. I think her mother is mixed with it, like she's half Cape Verde. And is her dad part? Her dad is Portuguese Cape Verde or something like that. But they don't think they're African. It doesn't make sense. Like, who are the original people on that island? African people, right? So whatever. That's their issues. But that Cape Verde was a big trading post as well. They traded goods there, and where's the documents? That's all I ask. You said howling like a wolf. Okay, you said what? I am what they call Windrush Commonwealth generation, and the Home Office told me the National Archives have destroyed many records. I was born into a United Kingdoms and colonies here in England. Yeah, they're saying that the National Archives here are destroying records as well, especially pertaining to slavery, which makes no sense. They're saying they don't have room, or there's bacteria on the documents. It all sounds like some bull. Like y'all couldn't digitize the stuff first before you burn it. And we all know about the burned counties, right? On the East Coast. You said her dad is South Philly Italian. Yeah, something like that. Well, I guess her grandfather is the one that's Portuguese or whatever. Her mother's father. I don't know the girl life. She ain't really doing nothing to be standing. I mean, what has she done? Be on Instagram and be with celebrities. I don't know. I'm not knocking her. That's her thing. I'm just saying. I don't know her whole life story. That's like one of the most famous Cape Verdean descended people that I know. So it says, so true. Stealing the human race because they were dark skinned. So sad, but the truth. I'm embarrassed as looking white, but in Massachusetts, I have to say. Well, that's what I was saying, Gina. Like, some people are mixed. Like, you might look a certain way, but you're still descended from certain people. All right? We might have the same ancestors, but we look different. You say you might look this white as Native American. It's okay, Gina. So, yeah. Did I got any more questions? I've been on here over an hour. You said, why do black women hate to take baths? You're not talking about us. Because we take the most bath. I don't know what she's talking about. The sun's still on here. Can he take this person out of here? Because y'all just talking crazy today. Y'all not going to be on here disrespecting women of color. No. And the cultures over here and in Africa, the people took baths daily, several times a day. We had soaps, we had lotions. I don't know about other places. They didn't have these things. So, do you think Indians came to Cape Verde? They could have, because if they came to Congo and other parts of Africa, Nigeria, I mean, why wouldn't they come to Cape Verde? That would be like a stop place, like if you're getting water or something. Can you recommend anyone to help with my genealogy search? I'm stuck. I mean, I can help you firewater if you email me at thetashashi@gmail.com if you really need some help. I would say to try to do everything you can yourself before you get a genealogist, because you don't want to be spending a lot of money on things that you can do yourself. Genealogist should be the last resort, right? I mean, now it's a lot of stuff that's digitalized that you can access for yourself, right? But yeah, email me if you really need the help, okay? You said the Aztecs and Mayas only had male leaders because South American tribes were patriarch. It's different. They had a lot of them patriarchal tribes down in the South, but then they also had the matriarchal tribe. That's why, I mean, it's different. It depends on the tribes here, but most of the tribes were matrilineal, right? Meaning that they had both genders as the leaders. Some of them were not. Some of them were matriarchs, some of them patriarchs, like I explained earlier. Whew, okay. So you're an Aboriginal American, and your grandfather made sure that we knew this, and he used to correct us when we took the African slave trade talk to the House, and European people here have told me they lied to us too. Yeah, well, my grandfather said that too. My grandmother, my great grandmother, they said that, you know. My father said they used to go to powwows or whatever, so. I mean, they knew, but it's just like people doing their things, like they don't, at a certain point when you're struggling, you don't really care. Like you just a human struggling, or you busy living your life, even if you're not struggling, you're working hard or whatever. Could somebody delete this Nadia person here? Because she's sounding ignorant. Here, who am I going to make? Who's still on here? Anyways, forget her. You said you definitely going to reach out to me? Okay, yeah. Oh, thank you, Sun-Eyed Eagle. I didn't know if you're still there, because I've been on here a long time. You said you stuck on your great-great-great-great-granny that was born in 1869. Okay, yeah, you're just going to have to let me know, like, the area that she lived, the areas that she lived, if she was born in a certain place and she moved and stuff, and we can try to look for her. But yeah, so please like this video, share it out, let people know, because people are very confused about our traditions. We need to keep our traditions alive and bring them back. Like I said, the tying of the knot, the jumping of the broom. Those are important traditions. Just like today, we had big parties and, you know, celebrations for our unions. And the women chose their husbands in most cases. And people chose for different reasons. But in our society, it was more based on choosing for love and choosing for comfort than in other societies. People just married because whatever, you know. So the whole boyfriend concept, girlfriend concept, and romance and things, a lot of those aspects of romance came from our cultures here, right? No other cultures really had boyfriends and girlfriends. They had, you know, either you were courting a person, you know, or you had a wife or a husband or whatever. So All right, y'all. Let me know you have any more last questions. I'm about to sign off. He said, what do you think of Arizona and Mississippi Kemetic Egyptian historical artifacts? I am not familiar with those. I'm only familiar with the Mississippian ones, the mound builders. I'm not sure about any Kemetic connections with them. You said they're being found now. Well, just drop me some links in my email or something. Let me know so I can do some more research. I'm going to do some more research with another connection. Not, you know, I don't want to give it away, y'all, but I've been doing research on something. I'm going to let y'all know. It's something that nobody else is speaking about, really. So I kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit, but I'm gonna bring it to y'all. But I need more evidence. I'm not just going to say something and not have the evidence for you guys. You said she's not going to knock the phone. Okay. Who is Bubbles? Is that your dog? You said you'll get back to Virginia soon. Okay, Gina. Hopefully we can meet up. Oh, and you guys, I have the event in Virginia, October the 19th, whatever that Saturday is, that weekend. I posted it up on my page on here. I posted on my Facebook. But we're going to have the Indigenous Indian Council event. So hopefully people can come out and meet each other. And I will be speaking there. There'll be other people speaking as well, including Gabriel Ridge and Carrie Davis, who have their own radio shows or podcasts, whichever you want to call it. Also, author Erika Coleman is going to be there as well. And Tavis Sanders, I'm not sure if Renee Sanders is going to be there. So I'm not really sure about all those names, but these are the people that I have been told by the organization. The organizer is going to be at the event, so it should be good, even if it's just me. Y'all come out and meet up with each other. We need to have these events where we're together in a positive environment. Chief Lyron, she's very positive. She's the chief of the Accomax, and she's trying to bring that tribe back, or she's already brought it back. But she's very positive and upbeat, and it seems like it's going to be a really positive event. We're going to have vendors, we're going to have food. You guys going to be able to meet each other and not just talk on the screen. So you said you're going to be there. Yeah, please come out if you can. Check my page for the info. Go to Eventbrite for the tickets. I don't think the tickets were free at one point, but I think they're $20 now, which is not a lot, to pay to have all these things. And also you need money for your food or whatever. All right. Yeah, I hope to see y'all here. What'd you say, Elle? You said when you juxtapose the slave records and the U.S. Census records, they don't line up. Exactly. Yeah, you watched my other video. I talked about it because I actually went in the Library of Congress and was trying to look this information up, and it doesn't match. And like I said, some of the boats had like one girl. Like, who's going to take one girl from Africa? It just sounds crazy. A lot of the stuff was domestic trade. People taking people from New York or New England down to Virginia or Louisiana or wherever. It didn't make any sense, like one person. But please share it out, comment below. I know the chat's going to be off after I get off the live, so comment in the comments. If you have any more questions for me, let me know. And then I think I still have a poll up, so you guys can choose what you want on the poll that I put up. I can't even remember what I put on there. But I think I was just asking you guys this basic question because I like to know what you guys want. What you want me to see from me, what you want me to do, right? You said you missed it. Yeah, Patricia, I'm about to sign off so you can watch the whole thing from the beginning. Okay? And please share it out, y'all, so more people can see this information. A lot of people are misinformed. And I know it's a pain for y'all when y'all get this information and you got to keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. Just send them the link, right? Just post it on your page so people know. All right, well, Chama Wangapo, y'all. See you next time.